everybody? My name is Roy Nemer. I'm your Wrestleview.com SmackDown recapper. I hope everyone is doing very, very well. This is the Wrestleview.com SmackDown Post Show number 11, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is number 11. I should know this. I hope everyone is, or what is it then? I can't even remember anymore. It's Friday. We're all hungover. It's WrestleMania madness. I hope everyone's well. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the big show that was WrestleMania on Sunday. This is our 7th show in the past 10 days here on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have enjoyed WrestleMania weekend. We're in the fallout. We're now on our way to WrestleMania Backlash, I guess. That's what they're calling it. Anyways, once more, my name is Roy Nemer. Hope you guys are well. I see a couple of people in the chat. I just want to say hi to Quinton, to Gilspan. We got a couple of people in here. So hello, guys. Thank you for joining me. Quinton, feel better, buddy. So Quinton's been, he just got out of the hospital after being there for 2 weeks. So hope you're well. I hope you're recovering, very, very well. We have Mashoon in there as well. Hello, Mashoon. Hope you're well, buddy. Gills fan says, Roy, if you're not in a poncho, I'll be very disappointed. Unfortunately, I'm not in a poncho. We did have a minor delay here to kick off the show. But it's not Reign-a-Mania, right? Or WrestleMania or whatever they called it. Whatever Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler called it as well on the pre-show. Mashoon, how are you, buddy? What do you think of the WWE releases? We'll talk about that in a little bit as we go along. Gills fan, nearly 3 months of the show. It's gone quick. It has gone quick. And hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm here because of you guys. I love doing the show. Love talking to you all. So thank you for joining me. Once more, this is it, right? This is the new season. We're starting things fresh here. We're on our way to WrestleMania Backlash. I thought personally, I enjoyed WrestleMania. I thought Saturday was slightly better than Sunday, but I'm not gonna knock it. It was great to have fans back. My predictions were kind of almost like 50-50. I'm very happy to be wrong about the main event, though. That was Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. And let's get into that. Let's just get into that one, right? So the show starts off, and so we get clips from the Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns defeats Edge and Daniel Bryan, retains his title. Then we're live in the Thunderdome, where Michael Cole welcomes Pat McAfee. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Pat McAfee during this show. I'm going to get your feedback as well. What do you guys think? Is he an upgrade on Corey Graves? Was it good to send Corey Graves on Raw and have McAfee on SmackDown? We'll get into all that. We'll talk a little bit about the releases as well. But I want to start things off with the head of the table, the WWE Universal Championship champion, Roman Reigns, along with Paul Heyman, and not only his right-hand man, but the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, Jey Uso. Main event Us. And we got Brian in here. Hello, Brian. How are you, buddy? He says, acknowledge him, Roy. Look, I've always acknowledged Roman Reigns, or at least since he came back in the summer last summer. I'm a big fan of his. I acknowledge Roman Reigns. Head of the table, buddy. Head of the table. Stephen Parsons, hello. Hope you are having, hope you're having a good day as well. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. If it's your first time, everyone, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. We're here a couple of times a week. We have Mike Tedesco and Victoria Tedesco who cover, Raw, the Raw Post Show on Monday. I'm here on Friday, so we always have something going on, at least once or twice, maybe even 3 times a week. Gills fan, I don't like calling him. I don't like them calling it WrestleMania Backlash. It waters down the actual WrestleMania name for me. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that as well since they started talking about it. But I guess I kind of get it. It's the backlash from WrestleMania. We'll see what happens. But I'm not a fan of it. What I am a fan of, or what I was a fan of, is actually the start of tonight's show. So Roman Reigns, Uso, and Heyman. What a promo. Again, I know I say it every week. I know I sound like a broken record, but wow. So Roman Reigns comes out. One thing I'm not a fan of, they piped in the "You suck" chants. And that was, after having WrestleMania, after having fans in attendance, having them pipe in the chants just felt, obviously it's fake, and it just felt even more fake and kind of watered it down a little bit, but still. Hey, I like this promo, and something I enjoyed very much was, Roman says he put a lot of eyes on SmackDown, and for the new viewers, Paul, Why don't you tell them what happened? And Heyman essentially runs down the list of accomplishments, Edge's list of accomplishments, Daniel Bryan's list of accomplishments. I loved Pat McAfee on this because he said, Roman beat a Hall of Famer in Edge, and he also beat someone who will be in the Hall of Fame, Daniel Bryan. So when all of this is said and done, Roman Reigns will have beaten two WWE Hall of Famers in the main event of WrestleMania. So that was a solid start to the promo, solid start to the show. Roman tells Paul, I Paul Heyman did. I took a play out of your book. I Babe Ruth did. I called it. I said I was gonna, I called my shot. I said I was gonna stack them. I said I was gonna pin them, and that's what I did. It's embarrassing. No one wants to get in the ring with me. It's not worth it. They're putting their careers on the line. They're this, they're that. So just a solid showing by Roman Reigns, and all of a sudden, boom, out comes Cesaro. And you're like, okay. So I was kind of surprised about this because I didn't think they'd pull the trigger on Cesaro so soon. And I guess I'm kind of right. And we're going to see that at the end of the show. But I was very surprised. Out comes Cesaro. But I absolutely loved what Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and Jey Uso did. Their reaction was great. Cesaro gets in the ring, goes face to face with Roman Reigns. Then he walks to go grab a microphone. By the time he walks out, all three men are out of the ring, walking back. Loved it. Made sense. Made sense in this, in terms of he's the champion, right? Roman's the champion. He's the head of the table. No one's in his league. And it's kind of like, well, who's Cesaro, right? Like, you get one win and all of a sudden you think you're worthy of taking on the Universal Champion. You think you're worthy of taking on the head of the table. Absolutely enjoyed it. Thought it was very, very well done. No words needed. No words needed. And I know we've spoken about this in the past, about how, cutting a promo isn't necessarily Cesaro's forte, so to speak. And this was very well done. What did you guys think? What did you guys think of the opening show? Of the opening of the show. What did you guys think of the opening segment? Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Paul Heyman, and Cesaro. I don't know if surprisingly or not, but no Edge, no Daniel Bryan on the show. And I kind of realized that, I guess, at the end when everything was done, I'm like, oh, okay, we didn't really get any of them. So that was very surprising. So Gills fan says, fantastic heel work by not acknowledging Cesaro. Exactly. Sometimes less is more. There was no need to cut a promo and bring Cesaro down. Just their actions in and of itself was enough. And less is more in this case. I absolutely agree. Gills fan, fantastic heel work. Brian, the disrespect was very, very well done. And I agree, buddy. I agree. So that was our opening segment. Here were my thoughts. I said Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, just incredible. Loved, I really liked that when they were introducing them, they called Jey Uso, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner. I really enjoyed that. Hopefully they stick with it. And that promo, like I said, like I tweeted here, was just solid. So good. Really loved it. Cesaro as his next opponent can be a heck of a program. I said it here. I said Cesaro as his next opponent can be a blast of a program. I loved the reaction when they left the ring. So that was cool. Although I'm not sure if that's actually what we're going to get. So that's very surprising. And we're going to talk about this at the end of the show. And it kind of leaves the Universal Championship kind of up in the air in terms of what they're going to do moving forward. But we'll see. We'll talk about that in a little bit. After that, we got a commercial break, and then we cut to Adam Pearce, who's backstage with Sonya Deville. They congratulate Cesaro on the win, and Cesaro says, look, I want Roman Reigns tonight. Doesn't have to be a title match. Give me him in a non-title match. And then we got Sonya Deville, who's there, and she's like, well, I'll talk to Roman. I'll see how he feels about it. And I guess to kind of add to last week's, how could I put this, maybe slight tension between Sonya and Adam Pearce, where they didn't necessarily see eye to eye, and then kind of got the feeling this time around again that Pearce is like, okay, what do you mean you have to talk to Roman? That's the vibe I got. Let me know what you guys thought about that. Gills fan says perhaps they're just planting the seed for later, right? In terms of having Cesaro feud with Roman, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. I wouldn't be against it. I would not be against that at all. Then we got a commercial break, and then we got a clip of Cesaro, spinning around Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and we got this clip about 5 times tonight. Literally, about 5 times. And we'll talk about it. And so they did a good job in building Cesaro, don't get me wrong, but kind of by the end of it, it just got a bit much. Just a little bit. But anyways, then we got our first match of the night, Rey Mysterio with Dominic up against Otis and Chad Gable. Up against Otis, who had Chad Gable in his corner. Relatively short match. I was expecting this to go to commercial. It didn't, which was very surprising because we got the clip from from Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Then we got the match, and usually, when you get a promo or something before a match, we get a commercial break. This was not the case. This was not the case at all. Relatively short match. Rey wins it with the crucifix cover, so he goes for the 619 and all that stuff. So we do get to see that, and I love Pat McAfee kind of, just getting all excited, like, wow, I'm actually getting to see the 619 live, and I understand why they have him on SmackDown. I get it, and I thought he did a good job tonight. So the ending is essentially Rey jumps off the top rope, Otis catches him, gets him on his shoulders, Rey flips him over, gets the crucifix cover, gets the win, and we get that. Then we see, Kayla backstage with Paul Heyman as they prepare for their interview after the break. So let me know, what do you guys think of that match involving Rey Mysterio and Otis? I'll be honest, look, it was short. There wasn't much to it. I'm kind of disappointed that they're continuing with this program. I hope if they do continue with this, that they do end it at Backlash or at WrestleMania Backlash. Just because I feel like it's ran its course by now. Like we're good. Let's move on. Let's do something else. We get it. So I'm hoping that they don't stay too long with this feud. Although it looks like they are. It looks like they are. We get to a commercial break. We come back. Kayla's backstage with Paul Heyman. She asks him about Roman Reigns. Is he gonna accept his challenge? And Paul Heyman cuts a promo that only Paul Heyman can cut. Let's be honest. If we're being honest, if we're truly being honest here, we get a promo from Paul Heyman that only Paul Heyman can cut, and it was great. It was great. He says, this is what we do in WWE. We put smiles on the faces of Neanderthals like Cesaro. So he kind of puts Cesaro down and this and that. And he asks Kayla, do you know about Roman Reigns' star power? Do you know about the effect that he has on people? He says on Saturday there was a rain delay, but it wasn't a rain delay. It was the Angels in Tampa. It was the Angels crying because of the beating that Roman was going to give Edge and Daniel Bryan. And that was gold. That was gold. Absolutely. Just enjoyed it. And... he says Cesaro has $1 million body, but a 10-cent brain. And talking about Cesaro, he says Cesaro is an opponent. He's not an attraction. He calls Cesaro a joke, and then he says, but you know what? Tonight, Cesaro will go one-on-one live on SmackDown in the main event versus the main event versus Jey Uso versus main event Uso, main event Jey. And so we're not getting Cesaro versus Roman Reigns tonight. Instead, we're getting Cesaro versus Jey Uso, which, hey, I'm on board with. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. So what do you guys think of that? Let me know. If you guys are watching us on, on playback on YouTube, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe here a couple of times a week. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys thought of the show, what you guys think of this show. And we'll be sure to give you a shout out to read it out on next week's show. Just a second, I'm just gonna drink this. Again, this is coffee. I always mention it every week. It's coffee, not alcohol. I do enjoy this show. I do enjoy it. All right. So after that promo, we get Sami Zayn, who's in the ring, and we get another promo right before a match. So Sami Zayn comes out and he said, once more, I got screwed. I got screwed. The headlines, it's all about WrestleMania. It's not about him. It's not about how, he got cheated or he got screwed. He said WrestleMania, he was supposed to be vindicated. It's supposed to be his vindication. He had Logan Paul as his guest of honor, but someone got into Logan Paul's brain. It was in his head. It was Kevin Owens. It was Michael Cole's negativity. It was WWE management. And because of that, he wasn't focused during his WrestleMania match versus Kevin Owens because he kept thinking about Logan Paul. Is Logan okay? Is he this? Is he that? a heelish promo by Sami Zayn, and it's gonna be very interesting to see in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months where they go with this conspiracy thing, right? With this whole conspiracy video, what's the blow off? What's it gonna be? Are we actually going to get something? Is my question. Are we actually going to get something? That's my big question. And just going back, just slightly back to Cesaro, Gills fan says Heyman was channeling Vince with his insults to Cesaro. So for those unaware, right, it's been a couple of years now. So apparently Vince is not a big fan of Cesaro, which I guess kind of explains why it's taken Cesaro so long to actually get a WrestleMania one-on-one match and finally get some sort of push. Brian says, yeah, anybody else cutting that promo about crying tears would have got laughed at. Exactly, about the angels crying and the crying tears and the puddles of water, and it was good. It was no one other than Paul Heyman can cut that promo, right? Gills fan says, another week, another fun Sami promo. It was entertaining. It was entertaining. My only worry, and I think I'm right in thinking this or saying this, is what's the blow off gonna be? What are they gonna do with Sami Zayn with this whole promo, with the whole conspiracy theories? That's gonna be interesting to see. That's gonna be very interesting to see. So then he calls out Kevin Owens, and then out comes Kevin Owens. So at this point, if we take a look here, and we cut the commercial break, right? So at this point, Sami and Kevin are in the ring, and we cut the commercial. Then we look, and so this is essentially my tweet I wrote. They're really pushing Cesaro. He's had 2 segments, a third where Heyman talks about him, and 2 short clips from his WrestleMania match, and I love it. I really did. For the first half of the show, I thought they did a tremendous job trying to push and trying to put Cesaro over. Everyone involved, from Heyman to the video packages to Michael Cole to McAfee to everyone. I truly thought they did well for the first half or so of the show. Towards the end, it got a little bit much with the video packages, but it was fine. It was fine for what it was. And then we get a WrestleMania rematch. And look, I'm generally not a fan of having a pay-per-view match and then the next week we get a rematch, right? I'm not a very big fan of that. I'm even less of a fan when it's a WrestleMania rematch, and I'm even less of a fan when it's a WrestleMania rematch and it's a rematch, or it's a match we've gotten I don't even know, dozens of times already. I get it, they probably had to fill something up on the show, but like the blow off to this meant nothing, to be honest with you. I really could have done without this match. And so Gillspan says, perhaps a heel screws him eventually, so he's vindicated and turns face. So obviously talking about Sami Zayn here. And Gillspan says, I don't know if you guys know, but Cesaro apparently did a move called the UFO at WrestleMania. In case you guys didn't know, in case you missed it, we got it about 10 times tonight. But it was in our faces. It was in our faces. But going back to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, it was a match that was just there. I hated the ending. I truly did. So this match ends with, or several times during the match, Sami Zayn would roll out and try and get counted out. And every single time Kevin Owens would, throw him back in, until finally, a rake to the eyes by Sami Zayn slows Kevin Owens down, and Sami gets counted out. I get that it's a heel thing. He wanted to get counted out, but considering the promo that he cut before the match, considering the fact that he, kind of called Kevin Owens out, I know he's a heel, but at least try and get disqualified or something. Don't get counted out. I get it. I understand the Sami Zayn character, but truly, I did not like this ending. I don't know about you guys. Let me know. What did you guys think about this match? What did you guys think more specifically maybe about the ending? I wasn't a big fan of this at all. I really wasn't. Gills fan says, why pay for WrestleMania when you can watch Rhea, Asuka, and Kevin Sami a few days later? It's exactly it. It was the same thing on Raw the next night. Literally less than 24 hours later, we got a rematch for the Raw Women's Championship between Rhea Ripley and Asuka. And it wasn't a very good match either. And less than a week later, we get a rematch, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. And even, Pat McAfee said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting a WrestleMania match. Oh my God." Even him trying to hype it up didn't really work, right? It didn't really work. Brian says, Owens Zayn is better when the roles are reversed. Yeah. Yes, but I'll be honest, Brian, and I agree, by the way. I do agree, but I feel like even if the roles were reversed, I probably still would not have been able to tolerate this match very much, just because we've got it several times already, and again, less than a week off of WrestleMania, right? And when WrestleMania ends, that's it. It's the new season. Everything switches. We're getting a brand new restart. It didn't necessarily feel that way with this promo or with this segment at all. Gills fan says, where was Byron Saxton to tell us that Sami getting counted out was better than beating Kevin? Yeah, look, nothing against Byron. I'm happy he's not on SmackDown. Let's put it that way. Brian, or have him lose by a ref mistake at least to build his conspiracy theory. Exactly. They could have done something where, Sami gets counted out, but like at the count of 10, Sami slides back into the ring and, he gets counted out, and then he could say the whole, "No, I never got counted out. I made it before 10," and something. That could have been cool. Instead, we just flat out got a count out. Literally. Gills fan disagrees with Brian. He says Zayn and KO are in their best roles for me. So Gills fan is a fan of Sami Zayn being, I guess, the heel and Kevin Owens being face. I don't mind either or, to be honest. I feel like Kevin Owens is a better heel than he is a face. And I feel like Sami could work, both heel and face. So I could do both. Quinton says the match was meh, then the ending happened. Exactly. It's not like it was a great match where you're sucked in and you're caught in and you get a bad ending, but you're like, okay, well, at least we get this again eventually. The ending left a lot to be desired. It was just poor booking, poor writing, which is not something we say often on SmackDown, but in this case, it really was. It really, really was. So that was that. Kevin Owens gets the win by countout, and then he drags Sami Zayn back into the ring after the match, hits him with the stunner, and that's that. It didn't make sense. It did not make sense. Then we cut to another backstage promo, and now that I'm recapping and we're going through this together, I realize how many backstage promos we actually got tonight. So we got Apollo Crews, who was backstage with Commander Aziz. And he says, so Apollo says he would give Big E a rematch tonight for the Intercontinental Championship, but Big E is not here. We see a clip of their WrestleMania match, and this is a complete typo. I wrote Big E here. I'm gonna fix this. It should be Apollo Crews, but Apollo Crews introduces Commander Aziz, a former member of the Nigerian Elite Guard. Okay, I guess we're supposed to believe that. So Aziz was there. If we're taking a look at the chat, Gills fan says, I love Kevin Owens as a face because he's actually a smart babyface, and Zayn is ridiculously fun as a heel. Look, I'll agree in that Zayn is very fun as a heel. I personally prefer Kevin Owens as a heel rather than a face. I don't think he's a bad face. I don't think so. But I think he's a better heel than he is a face. All things considered, I'm enjoying their roles here. I'm loving this heelish Sami Zayn. And Kevin Owens as a face is fine too. I'm just not enjoying this feud anymore. That's my issue with this. I'm not enjoying it anymore. So even if the roles were reversed, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm really not a big fan of that. Then we cut to a commercial break. I apologize, sorry, just grabbing a drink here. So, we get Bianca Belair's victory celebration, and I enjoyed this one. A lot. So, balloons are at ringside. Out come the Street Profits. Ford says it's Friday night and he feels all right. Dawkins says, and we're taking it back, and this and that. So they're getting us all hyped up, right? Not only for their championship match later tonight, but Bianca Belair, right? So He says it was a night to remember. There was one match, so WrestleMania was a night to remember, or an event to remember. But there was one match in particular that was the history-making, glass-ceiling match, and that was, glass-ceiling shattering match, which was the SmackDown Women's Championship. And we see a clip of Bianca Belair defeating Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And out comes Bianca Belair, so out comes the new champion. And like I said, I enjoyed this. This was fun, but before we go any further, I'm going to take a look at the chat. We're getting a lot of messages here. So Brian says, sure, it's not like we've seen him before on Raw Underground or anything. So obviously he's talking about Commander Aziz. Commander Aziz, it's not like he's been on Raw Underground before. Same thing for Omos, right? One half of the Raw Tag Team Champions. He was on Raw Underground, and they made it seem like we've never seen him before. Quinton says, the Nigerian Elite Guard, what a bad gimmick. Yeah, not a very good one in that case. Gills fan says, wow, an actual tag team was on this show. Yeah, and a tag team with, an actual tag team with history, with talent, with anything, really. And Gills fan says, I'm so pleased that Bianca won. I'm glad my prediction was wrong. Yeah, and that was, I know a couple of us feared it last week when we were making our WrestleMania predictions. We said, I remember still saying Bianca's going to win, but I had that small feeling where I'm like, are they really going to keep the belt on Sasha Banks? Thankfully, they didn't. Very, very glad that Bianca's a new champion. So out comes Bianca, and we get, the piped-in EST chants. And, she says, feels like she's been floating since Saturday, since she won the belt. Her family's been making history for generations and all that stuff. And, she got the inspiring promo of this match, and this win was for every little girl who was, at Raymond James Stadium, or every little girl watching us at home, and every girl that saw a part of herself in me when I won the belt. So, an inspiring promo, a very, very babyface promo by Bianca Belair, and a very well delivered promo. I always said, and I'm trying not to knock Sasha Banks, and I promise I won't do it, or try not to do it for long anyways, but I've always said Bianca Belair is what Sasha Banks thinks Sasha Banks is, at least on promo, right? At least on the mic, and I thought she did very well tonight, Bianca Belair. And and she says it's not just about her, it's about Sasha Banks as well, because kind of like, it takes two to tango, and they made history together and this and that, which was cool. And that leads us to our SmackDown Tag Team Championships, because Bianca tells Ford, look, we only wear gold in this family, so go get the gold. So that leads us to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. But before that, we get another backstage promo. Or not really a promo, but was supposed to be one. Kayla Braxton was backstage with the former SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks, and Sasha's there, and she's like, oh, she just says Bianca, and she's frustrated, and then she just storms off. She just walks away. And again, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes less is more. This was probably 10 times more, more effective than having, let's say, Sasha Banks cut a 5-minute rant. Less is more, right? Sasha's frustrated, clearly still frustrated, and she's not over it yet. And chances are you might get a rematch down the road, or at least maybe at Backlash, who knows. So this was a good promo. She didn't really say anything, but it served its purpose. And once more, again, I believe this is for the 4th time tonight, we see Cesaro spinning Seth Rollins. Then we got to another backstage promo where Bayley is backstage with Kayla. And I quite enjoyed this one. So, she says Bianca cried even before her match started at WrestleMania against Sasha Banks. And she knows it. Kayla knows it. Kayla won't say it, but she'll say it. The reason why Bianca was crying before the match was because she thought, or she knew, she had no chance of winning. And it's like a heelish promo from Bayley, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was entertaining. And she says it's time for her to challenge Bianca Belair for the women's champion, right? For the women's championship. And I know we got this feud right around Royal Rumble time, right? About 4 months ago now. 3-4 months ago. I know we got this 3-4 months ago. I liked that feud a lot. I thought it was very fun, very entertaining. They had that little obstacle course segment on SmackDown. And if this is what they're going to go with, I don't think it's a bad choice. Now, granted, Bianca got the best of Bayley every single time. But if we're looking at the women's talent on SmackDown, we're very limited. So I will gladly sign off on having Bayley up against Bianca. And we might get a triple threat. Who knows? They might throw Sasha Banks back in there. Who knows? Let's take a look at the chat. Let's see. So Brian says, Bianca is uber talented, but I still can't get fully invested in her yet. I don't know why. I'm trying to think. I like Bianca, but I'm going to try and think of something maybe I'm not going to say a flaw, but maybe something that annoys me maybe or something. Maybe too fake. Is it the fact, Brian, maybe you find her too fake? Like she's always smiling and she's too baby face-ish. Similar to Bayley when she first started out, like, the hugger, and, that kind of got annoying fast. Maybe it's that with Bianca. I don't know. Again, I'm enjoying Bianca. I like her, so I can't really comment too much on that. Gills fan says, it's great to finally have a likable face as women's champion. I agree. I fully agree. We haven't had one in a while. We really haven't had one, because even Bayley was a heel, right? Bayley was a heel. Sasha Banks was never really a face. So it's been a while. It's been over a year now. Over a year. Brian, the best part, the silence of Sasha Banks. Again, less is more. I agree, Brian. Less is more. Gillsman says, that was the greatest Sasha promo I've ever seen. I agree. That was the best, the absolute best Sasha Banks promo, for obvious reasons. Gillsman, sign me up for more Bayley versus Bianca. I enjoyed the feud 3-4 months ago. I enjoyed it, and I'll like it again. I'm sure I will. I think they'll do a good job with that. Brian, we're limited with women's talent in general. That is true. So it's not just a SmackDown problem. It's a Raw problem. It's a WWE problem. And I know you guys have mentioned it. You guys have suggested it. We've spoken about it in the past. They really should combine that division. Raw, SmackDown, women's division, combine them. Same thing for the tag team division, the men's tag team division. Combine them. Honestly, they could do so much more with having both brands together. Brian, regarding Bianca Belair, says, yeah, I'd like more of an edge. So more of an edge to Bianca Belair is what Brian would like to see. I agree. Maybe I wouldn't say more of an edge, because I feel like she brings it in the matches and promos, but it's I think I get what you mean, Brian, in terms of she's too babyface-ish, right? And maybe she needs that sharpness, that edge, similar to Drew McIntyre, right? Maybe about a month, almost 2 months ago now, where we saw Drew get that attitude, that edge of something. I think I get what you mean, Brian. Yeah, I think I get what you mean. So going back to this, so my tweet regarding this was, great promo by Bianca Belair. This could be a fun little group if they have the Street Profits win tonight, which we're gonna see later on. They didn't. Spoiler alert. No. Bayley challenging Bianca. I know we had a few months ago, but not a bad challenger, right? It could have been much worse, and it could be much worse. So I guess we're not going to get this fun little group involving the Street Profits and Bianca Belair. They're going to keep them separate. Nothing wrong with that either. It's been working so far, and, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Commercial break, and we get this. We get the SmackDown Championship match. SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode versus the Street Profits. I enjoyed this match, and I enjoyed this match for a couple of different reasons. One, Ziggler and Roode, it's not the fact that they won, but it's the fact that they actually won clean, which is not always something we attribute to a heel team, or to a heel in general, right? Usually there's some sort of cheating, there's some sort of this, some sort of that. In this case, it wasn't. Ziggler and Roode got the win cleanly, no cheating, nothing involved. I'm not a fan of the outcome. I'm not a fan of Roode and Ziggler retaining, so to speak, but I am a fan of the way they did it, if that makes sense. Another thing I enjoyed And this is where I really, really want your input, guys, and your feedback. Not that I don't in general, but I obviously do, and even more so now. I really enjoyed Pat McAfee on this. And the reason why I mention this is because I feel like, during the commercial break, I was on Twitter and I was reading the comments, and for the most part, I read that people enjoyed McAfee during this match on commentary. And there was a small group that really didn't. I was part of the majority. I'm part of the majority where I thought he was great. He was good. He got me hyped. Whenever the camera, whenever you could kind of see him on camera, you could see he was on his feet, he's standing up, and he's into it, he's hyping it up. At one point, I think there was a sunset flip done, or a sunset flip power bomb, or something like that. And Cole calls it. Michael Cole says, "Wow, what a sunset flip power bomb!" And Pat McAfee's like, "What? What's that called?" And then Cole tells him sunset flip powerbomb, and Pat McAfee says, "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen." So he gets you involved, and I fully understand why they have him on SmackDown. Number one, obviously NFL, and NFL on Fox, so they have that fan base. And number two, it's right after WrestleMania, and it's Peacock, and they got the new contract, so there are some new viewers on there, and they want to get people hooked. So I totally understand it. And I'm someone that I'm not an NFL fan. I'm not a football fan. I'm a European football fan, so I'm a soccer fan. I'm not an NFL fan. I don't know Pat McAfee. The only thing I know about him is what I've seen, which was him on NXT, where he had his first match. I believe it was on NXT In Your House, if I'm not mistaken, last summer or last fall, I think, where he really impressive. He was really good in the ring, and then obviously his stint in NXT in general. Other than that, I had never heard of Pat McAfee. So for me, seeing someone really come from the NFL, do really well in the ring, now on commentary, I was impressed. What do you guys think? I really much enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Brian says, "I get it. It wasn't by some Ford hit a splash, but he hurt himself and couldn't make the pin. They got outsmarted instead." Exactly. So regarding the ending of the match, it was actually a clean win. Quentin says, "McAfee is the best thing happening in SmackDown, period." I probably wouldn't go that far. I'm not sure if it's sarcasm or not, Quentin. I wouldn't go that far. But look, for night one, I thought he did very well. Very, very well. And I thought it was a good showing, specifically in this match. And much better than, I can't remember his name, and I know I won't be able to remember his name, but the new commentator on Raw, the former baseball commentator, sorry, the former baseball commentator that we got on Raw, light years ahead, and I know McAfee has his podcast, if I'm not mistaken, so he does have some experience, right, or something else even, but I thought he did well. I thought he knocked it out of the park. Brian says he should be good as long as they can keep him focused and not playing a character. Yeah, and I saw someone tweet to me saying they have McAfee playing that Jerry the King Lawler type of commentator, type of character. I agree to a certain extent. I think Pat McAfee has that character of, I'm new to this business, I have an idea, but I'm a fan. If that makes sense. Like, I'm a fan of the show, I watch it, I know what's going on, but I'm still new to this, and that's why we get those marking out moments, so to speak, and I enjoyed it. I thought he did well. I liked it. Gil's fan says, "I had no idea who Pat was. I thought Pat was great since I saw him hosting the pay-per-view watch-alongs." See, I didn't even watch the watch-alongs, and now I'm actually intrigued. Quentin, McAfee is the ultimate hype machine. He is, man. He got me hyped during this match, and I'm not saying it takes a lot for me to get hyped watching Rude and Ziggler, but he got me invested, and if you can get me invested and hyped into that, I'll get hyped into. He'll get me hyped into anything pretty much. So look, kudos to WWE, kudos to Vince. This is a great pickup for them. I'm being honest. This is a great pickup. I know a lot of people, myself included, hate on some of the decisions that this company makes, but you gotta tip your hat off when they do things right. And this is, in my opinion, this is one of those things that they did right. So we get so winners still tag team champions, Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode. Ziggler hits forward with the zigzag to end the match, gets the cover, 1, 2, 3, still, champions. Gills fan says, if Adam Cole goes to SmackDown, Pat is going to bury him. When I did, I covered NXT Night 2 last Thursday. And I tweeted out saying, Adam Cole is one of those characters, similar to Finn Balor, who probably won't do too well on Raw or SmackDown. It's not a knock on him. No one's made for the main show. I think he fits hand in glove. I think he does very well in NXT. But if Adam Cole goes goes to SmackDown, I want him to go just for one night, just to see what McAfee will say, based off their history in NXT. I want him there. I want him there, just for one night, just to see. Gillsman says, how long till Kevin Dunn decides he doesn't like Pat's voice? Oh, God. Look, they're invested, man. I feel like they're going to keep him for a while. Because NFL on Fox and everything. I think Pat McAfee's there for a while. Or I hope he is. So, that was that. Then we cut backstage, Kayla with Cesaro. So yet another segment involving Cesaro. She asks him about Heyman's comments from earlier. He says, yeah, Heyman's right. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And maybe I do look like a Neanderthal. But he's wrong because he does belong in the ring. And he does belong in the ring with Roman Reigns. And he's going to prove that tonight. So these were my tweets, my comments. I thought, for the most part, it was a very fun tag team match. Ziggler and Rude retain, and hopefully we get them defending their championships more often, please, instead of once every 3 months. They have to rebuild this division, and we need more of the belts being defended and more of the champions on the show. And the other thing I tweeted was, I love Pat McAfee so far, and specifically in the tag team championship match. Obviously can't spell championship in my tweet. Literally sold it all. He was on his feet and got you hyped. I like Corey Graves. I've never really said a bad word about Corey Graves. I really like him, and I think he's going to do well on Raw, and I think he's a great choice on Raw. But McAfee is just as energetic, and it's good having him with Cole. It's really good having him with Cole. We cut to a commercial break, and then once more we get another clip of Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Jesus, they really went all out with this one. Brian says, regarding Kevin Dunn, he says, yeah, it only costs Joe, Billy Kay, Pitt and Royce, Drake Maverick, and a few others their job because of budget cuts. I missed Maverick getting cut. I really missed that one. I didn't know. Ouch. I mean, ouch in general to everyone. It's never fun when anyone loses their job. But I didn't. I must have missed the Maverick one. So back to the show. Natalya versus Shayna Baszler, and look, they're continuing with this feud. I kind of understand why, because they had the Iconics, they split them up, and then obviously they fired them, they cut them. So the women's division, tag team division specifically, not good. So we got Natalya, Shayna. Natalya gets the win cleanly versus Shayna Baszler. We got a couple of distractions and this and that. In the end, Natalya gets the pin. And you could feel like they're planting the seed to have Shayna and Nia break up. I think this was very evident in this match. And I think they're planning, they're building to it. I think we're going to get a match at Backlash involving these two teams. I tweeted about it as well. I think that's what we get. And I think we get new champions. And then we end up getting Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax just completely splitting up. And then, for the 10th time tonight, we see another clip of Cesaro spinning Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Then we cut backstage, we see Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman, they're all sitting. Jey says Cesaro's a one-hit move, king of spin, king of swing. He asks Cesaro if he can do any of that without any teeth. And he says he disrespected the head of the table, and now he crossed the main event. He crossed the right-hand man. And then Roman looks in the camera and he says, you heard Jey, and now he's going to show you. So, yeah. It was a good promo. So, leads us to the main event of the show. So, I'm going to cut to... just to the chat really quickly. Gills fan says Drake was last year. But wasn't that kind of like storyline-wise and they brought him back? I could be wrong. I could be really, really wrong on this. I could be wrong. I'll have to double check. So many people. There's a lot of ins and outs. So many different people going different places. Somewhat difficult to keep up. Gills fan says, I refuse to get invested in these teams anymore. Vince doesn't care, so why should I? That's a valid question. That's a very valid question, because if you really think of it, we have 2 legit tag teams, 3 with the New Day. So you got the New Day, you got the Street Profits, and I guess Otis and Gable, kind of. So 3 Otis and Gable, and then 4 if you want to count the actual champions. Other than that, Rey and Dominic are not really a tag team. It's just father and son. They have nothing better to do for any of them, so they just put them together. Brian meant Bo Dallas getting cut. Gills fan says, yeah, they made it into a storyline. He's still employed. There you go. Okay, so I was right on that. I'm not. My hangover is getting better. So I'm sure. So I know for a fact that Maverick is there. He's still there. This is SmackDown Post Show number 11, right? Not number 10. Yeah. So leads us to the main event. Jey Uso versus Cesaro. Very physical match. A lot of back and forth. Jey worked on Cesaro's arm, right, to try and minimize the his ability to swing him around. The uppercuts and that. So very physical. It was good. It was hard hitting, and the ending. So I had a problem with this ending. I actually have 2 problems with this ending. So Cesaro spins Jey, right? And as he's spinning him, out comes Seth Rollins, who attacks Cesaro, disqualification. So that's my first problem, is the fact that this match ended in a disqualification. Problem number 1. Problem number 2, and I guess probably should have seen it coming, is the fact that this feud involving Seth Rollins and Cesaro will continue. And the reason why I think it's a bad idea, I don't think it's a bad idea because, Cesaro won't get his chance right away against Roman Reigns. No, not because of that. But because I don't see Seth Rollins losing 2 matches in a row against Cesaro. So if we do get a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash, if we get a rematch there, you got to think Seth wins. If Cesaro wins, then they're strapping Sorry, I can't even speak anymore. They're strapping that rocket on Cesaro's back and they're going to shoot him to the moon if Cesaro gets to win against Seth. If Seth wins, then we're going to get a final blow-off match in the subsequent pay-per-view in June, which I believe is Money in the Bank. That's my problem. This is why I had a problem with this. If Cesaro wins at Backlash, assuming these 2 have a match, and Cesaro wins, great, by all means. Then you know what? You could kind of tease it and even have Cesaro win Money in the Bank. You could have Cesaro win Money in the Bank and have him use it. I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but anyways, so that's my issue with this main event, or with the ending rather, because the match itself was good. The match was solid. Jey Uso was main event Jey. Cesaro brought it just as he always does. So I enjoyed this one. Gills fan, did Cesaro do the UFO in the match? No, he did not. No, he didn't do the UFO. I think they're probably going to keep it either for pay-per-views or for big matches. He did not use it this time around, no. Gills fan, I'm worried that Rollins will beat him and we get more 50-50 booking. Yeah, again, and I don't want this feud to end on a 50-50. If they have these guys face off again and Seth wins, then I think, unfortunately, you need a 3rd match where Cesaro wins. And the reason why I say unfortunately is because it means we're going to get a 2 or 3 month feud. Nothing against Seth, nothing against Cesaro, but the ways the Seth character is going, I can't tolerate Seth Rollins on the mic for 2-3 months feuding with Cesaro, especially when Cesaro's not the best on the mic on his own, right? Brian says, decent show, but the 3 Mania rematches with very thin endings kind of brought it down. And I think the show could have used more video packages of Cesaro. Never enough Cesaro, Brian. Never enough Cesaro. Gills fan says, good. They should not overdo it like they did with the video packages. Yeah. The first hour where they showed it 2-3 times, okay, that's enough. We get it, right? It's cool. You built them up, and that's it. But it's the fact that it was either right before every single commercial break or right after every single commercial break where we got a Cesaro video or promo. got a bit much. It got a bit much, and especially when you consider the ending that we got to the show. That's the problem, was at the ending as well. So, so Seth attacks Cesaro, and then after the match, Seth starts yelling and tells Cesaro he got lucky, and this is not over. It's not over till he says it's over. So, not over yet, guys. All right. My tweets, and I want to get your opinion on this, guys. What do you guys think? So I said, if you would have told me last year that the WWE would use Jey Uso to get Cesaro or anyone else in the main event, I'd have called you crazy. But Jey Uso has done a great job, really. He's done a great job. He really is main event. He really, really is main event. I was semi-expecting Seth to get involved here, and it's what happened. I was semi-expecting it when the match was announced, because at that point, I'm like, okay, well, Seth's not on this show. It's been 20, 30 minutes. Let's see if he shows up later that night. And then I remember the commercial right before this match thinking, we haven't gotten Seth yet. And I'm like, okay, we haven't gotten Seth yet. But no, they're clearly pushing Cesaro, and this feud with Seth is over. So I didn't really think twice about it. So at one point I was kind of expecting it, but when the bell rang, the match started, I kind of forgot about Seth. And then when Seth got involved, I'm like, oh shoot, they're really going with this. They're really, really going with this. Again, the match itself was good. The ending, not so much. My overall thoughts, I thought it was a good show to follow up WrestleMania, and much better than Raw. It felt like they pushed a little. It felt like they pushed a little in some things, but were reserved. So it's like, they pushed towards this, but then we're like, wait a minute, we're not going to push too far ahead with this. They were a bit more reserved. For example, it's almost as if they did not want to pull the trigger on Cesaro or even the Street Profits, getting the championship belts. Still, I thought it was a very fun and enjoyable show for what it was. It's a 2-hour show, kind of difficult to mess up. I thought they did pretty well overall. I wouldn't say it was the best show. No, absolutely not. But I don't think it was a bad one either. Gil's fan says, when Seth attacked for a split second, I thought it was Jimmy Uso. That could have been nice. And you got to wonder what they're going to do with Jimmy at this point, is if he's ever going to come back, really. Brian, once Heyman dropped Seth's name in the promo, I knew he was coming out. I didn't even think of that. I did not think of that, Brian. And Brian says in that suit, he also thought, like Gil's fan, that it was Jimmy that attacked Cesaro. Look, guys, looks like we're getting a bit more of that. It looks like we're getting a bit more of this feud. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's take a look at the overall thoughts and the overall votes. Sorry. So there was a problem with Twitter. It was on and off this entire show. So we have 0 votes. I know I voted for a fact, and it's a bit off. I'm gonna vote again just to see if it even allows me. See, it doesn't allow me to vote. So there's a problem with the voting. There's a problem with Twitter in general tonight. I don't know what it is, and there was a problem. There appears to still be a problem. But I thought it was a thumbs up. What did you guys think of the show? Was it a thumbs up, or did you guys give it a thumbs down? Remember, we don't do thumbs in the middle here. We don't do that. It doesn't exist. Either up or down. Quentin Walters says, subscribe and like or else. So, subscribe and like to the show, or else I will have to find a suit that is worse than what Seth Rollins wears. And I'm going to have to wear it next week on this show if you guys do not like and subscribe this video. Please don't, please do, because I don't want to wear a suit that's worse than the ones that Seth Rollins wears. So make sure to like and subscribe, guys. We appreciate the support. Gil's fan, so Twitter makes this show thumbs in the middle. Going by that logic, Gil's fan, right? If we take a look at it, it's 0 votes, even though we do have some votes. Mashun says a thumbs up. I agree. I give it a thumbs up. I thought it was a thumbs up. Brian gives it a thumbs up as well. There you go. So 2 or 3 thumbs up if you want to include myself. Gil's fan, what do you think? Was it a thumbs up or maybe more of a thumbs down? Quentin, what do you think? Quentin says Twitter thumbs down. There you go. Thumbs down from Twitter. Gil's fan, the promos were fine and Sasha didn't speak. Thumbs up. There you go. So we're getting about 4 thumbs up so far and 1 thumbs down, but to Twitter. And that one is by Quentin Walters. So that was the show tonight. As for the releases, the cuts, I know you guys mentioned it earlier in the show at the start of the show. look, obviously it's unfortunate. It's never fun when anyone loses their job. It sucks. It doesn't make sense, and I'm going to talk about the Iconics specifically, and I'll talk a little bit about Samoa Joe. But if you're talking about the Iconics, they broke them up. They didn't know what to do with them. Then they stuck Billie Kay in a tag team. I believe at one point Peyton Royce was in a tag team. It's as if they messed it up. They didn't know what to do, and they're like, you know what, we're just going to wash our hands and cut these two women. Obviously, the big question is, AEW, are they going to be on AEW? Probably eventually. I don't know. Do they have a no-compete clause, 90 days? I guess we're going to have to see, right? We'll have to see if they do or don't. So we'll have to take a look at that. Taking a look at the chat, Quentin says, Roy's suit is the Tedesco's curtains. Oof. I'm going to have to talk to Mike and Victoria, see if they could cut them out, send them to me, and I'll get it. I'll get the curtains tailored as a suit. Brian, Apollo narrate a book on tape in that accent. Oh boy. That's rough, Brian. No one wants that. So that was the Iconics getting cut. I was a big fan of the Iconics. I thought they were entertaining. Not the best in the ring, no, but on the mic, definitely not the worst. And especially if you take a look at Peyton Royce, the promo that she cut on the Raw show, I forget what it's called. Not Talking Smack, but the post Raw Talk, I believe. 3 weeks ago or so, about a month ago, she cut an excellent promo on there. I thought she did well. Billie Kay, are you joking me? You've got to be joking me. They're entertaining. These two ladies are very entertaining. Obviously wish them the best. And if it's in AEW, it's in AEW. If it's somewhere else, it's somewhere else. Who knows? A Gills fan says Peyton and Lacey was one of the worst teams I've ever seen. I like them both, but there was nothing there. Yeah, I forgot they were a tag team, I guess. Brian, if they end up in AEW and she can meet up with her husband, then good for them. Yeah, so Peyton Royce is married to, what's his name, Sean Spears? Mr. 10 or something? That was his gimmick. As you can tell, I'm clearly very good with names tonight and remembering things. But I could see them in AEW, and someone else I could see in AEW, Samoa Joe, which was a very surprising cut, very, very surprising cut. And Mashun says, he's going to miss Billie Kay, as will I. I was actually watching one of their videos earlier today of, the best of the Iconics backstage, and them with Kayla and them with, I believe it was Kathy Kelly and stuff like that. They're entertaining. Gills fan says, apparently Kevin Dunn didn't get Billie. How do you not get someone that is funny and has a fantastic personality? Look, it's their loss, man. It's WWE's loss. Their women's division is not doing very good. Hasn't been doing good for a while. They need tag teams, and they had a very entertaining one that they decided to split up and ultimately cut. So it's their loss. But yeah. As for Samoa Joe, look, I thought he was very good on commentary, and obviously when the initial news broke out that he's no longer on commentary and he's kind of cleared to wrestle, and he's still a member of the active roster, people started talking, what if he's the one that challenges Bobby Lashley? Let's say Bobby Lashley's cutting a promo and out comes Samoa Joe and gets him in the clutch from behind and this and that, in the chokehold, and people were talking about it, and that was shocking. That was very, very surprising. I don't think anyone expected Samoa Joe to get cut. I was talking to, I believe it was Mr. Mike Tedesco, when it happened, and he said, Samoa Joe has those concussion issues, right? Has a concussion history, and it's true, it's valid, but they could have easily done something with Samoa Joe similar to what they did or what they're doing with MVP, and I'm not trying to compare, but even to a certain extent Alexa Bliss, where you could kind of have him as a mouthpiece, have him talk for someone, have him talk for Cesaro, have him talk for I don't know, anyone who needs a mouthpiece, right? They could have done that, have him as a manager, have him as something. Unfortunately, they didn't. Even keep him as commentary. They didn't want to. I'm guessing, I don't know what happened, right? Can't even speculate, but I'd love to see him in AEW. I think he could do really well there. Obviously, concussion issues are a problem, right? Brian says, hey, Kayla. That was Billie Kay. Gil's fan says, I want Joe to walk into AEW and destroy the jobbers there that I don't like. I want him there to destroy the Young Bucks, personally. I'm not a fan of theirs. Brian, you gotta be joking me. Gil's fan, you gotta be joking me. Has never been more appropriate. Yes. And Brian says, I wonder if it's the Christian thing with Joe, where they didn't have any interest in him being back in the ring. So I understand the issue with Christian, because he has been out for a while, and it was a big concussion. And Christian, I get it. Maybe they didn't want Edge back and Christian and all that stuff. Maybe, who knows, right? Who knows how they think. Joe was surprising for me, just because he's been on commentary and he is useful. They're still literally using him. It's not like the Iconics where they weren't using them much, right? Or they were using them sporadically. Joe was a member of the Raw announce team. That was very surprising. Gilsman says they should have had Joe beat Brock. The crowd was on fire for those two, but screw the fans. Vince had to save Brock for babyface Roman. Yeah, Joe never got that title run, right? He never got the win, never held the championship. I believe he held the United States Championship. I don't think he held the Intercontinental. I remember him holding the United States, but never held the big one, and not the Universal nor the WWE Championship. Who knows if he can do it in AEW? Who knows? They could have had, even, I think I mentioned to Mike or someone, I can't remember. I said, they could have had Samoa Joe up against Roman Reigns. Samoan. I know we got that feud before, but now maybe more relevant concerning, Roman at least, the head of the table and the tribal chief and everything. Look, we didn't get it, and obviously it's unfortunate, but who knows what we're gonna get with Samoa Joe, if he goes to AEW or not, and if he does, is he gonna be a member of the active roster? Is he gonna be on commentary? I don't know, AEW Dark or Dynamite or something? Who knows, right? Who knows what they're gonna do with them? If he ends up going, that's a big if. I know Bo Dallas, right? You guys mentioned Bo Dallas got released. Apparently he was doing, from what I read, I believe it was on Twitter, some real estate stuff. He was looking into real estate or working in real estate. So I guess he knew maybe his time was up with the WWE. Who knows about that? Gilsfan says, yes, him. So Samoa Joe squashing the Bucks would be fantastic. I'd pop for Joe just walking nonchalantly out of the way of a Young Bucks dive. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool to see. I'd love that. I'd fully probably watch that on repeat for a good 5 minutes. But anyways, so that was the show. That was SmackDown. That was SmackDown for tonight. Our first SmackDown show after WrestleMania. For the most part, I thought it was good. I think everyone here gave it a thumbs up. Quentin gave Twitter a thumbs down because we can't see the votes and Twitter was down. But in general, it was a thumbs up show. So this is it, right? End of the road type of thing. If I'm gonna quote, who sings that song? End of the road. Boyz II Men. There you go. So to quote Boyz II Men, this is the end of the road, at least for tonight. So this was SmackDown, our first show after WrestleMania. SmackDown Post Show number 11. Almost 2 months now. 3 months. Next week will be 3 months. Our 3-month anniversary with you guys, at least. So thank you for that. So my name is Roy Nemer from Wrestleview.com. I'm your SmackDown recapper. I'm your SmackDown Post Show host here on YouTube for Wrestleview. We're here a couple of times a week, right? Mike and Victoria Tedesco are here Monday nights immediately after Raw. Give them a follow, give them a thumbs up, subscribe. Trust me, they do. If you think I do a good job, and if you think I do a bad job, that's your opinion. But whatever thing you think I might be doing, the Tedescos do it 20 million times better on Raw on Mondays. So make sure to give them a follow. So we're here on Mondays. I'm here on Fridays, right? Post Raw, post SmackDown. We're here constantly. We're on overdrive, guys. And we have some changes coming up on WrestleView. I can't say exactly when, but we do have some big changes coming up on WrestleView. That's all I'm going to say. So thank you guys for joining me. Gills fan, great show as usual. Roy, see you next week, everybody. Thank you, Gills fan. Thank you for the support. Brian, later, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for joining, buddy. Mashoon, Quinton, Mashoon, peace out, peeps. Have a good one, Mashoon. Be safe. Quinton, feel better, man. It's our go home. That's it. My name is Roy Nemer from Wrestleview.com. I'm your SmackDown recapper. Have fun, be safe, and until next week, guys. Love you guys. Love doing this show. And like, subscribe. We're here next week. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Be safe.